Public schools in San Mateo County are very fortunate to have a former educator representing their interest in the state legislature. A conversation with Assemblyman Gene Mullen coming up.
In January, it's so nice, walking on the sliding ice. To dip hot chicken soup with rice, sipping once, sipping twice, sipping chicken soup with rice. Get it right, go away, to forest and roam all day, and dream about my soup all day. Home right once, home right twice, eating chicken soup, eating chicken soup with rice, chicken soup with rice.
Hi, I'm Bruce Grantham, and welcome to Our Children, Our Future, a program about education in the South San Francisco Unified School District. Assemblyman Gene Mullen was a history teacher and a government teacher at South San Francisco High School for 32 years before he retired in 1999. He served on the board of the South San Francisco Historical Society, on the Planning Commission, and on the South San Francisco City Council. Gene, welcome to Our Children, Our Future.
Thank you, Bruce. Great to be here.
With all those years teaching students about federal and state government, did you ever think that someday you'd be in Sacramento representing their interests?
Well, I think I always thought that I would at least do something at the local level, more as an example to the kids that I taught that they really should be active participants. And so I started in the 70s on the Planning Commission and later on the Historic Preservation Commission. And I think that I probably always thought that I would at some point be elected, run for elective office at the local level. The state was a little bit different. That was more of a surprise than anything else.
Pleasant surprise?
Loaded question.
Well, after this last election, and congratulations, by the way, being elected for your second term.
I think when I first came up, I understood that we were going to be spending a lot of time managing debt. I was hoping that we might be able to dig out of that maybe by the end of my first term. Now it looks like if I stay there the entire 6 years, we'll be doing nothing but working on huge budget deficits. So from that perspective, it's a little bit of a downer. In terms of the legislative activities, the ambiance of the building, the colleagues I have, it's a dream come true.
As far as public education, who's making the decisions for public education in California? Is it the governor? They all have something to say about it. Is it the governor? Is it the legislature? Is it the superintendent of public instruction? Is it the State Board of Education? Is it the Secretary of Education, who seems to have a lot to say, or the local school boards? Who makes the decisions?
The answer to your question is yes, 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 and yes. Everybody has a piece of the pie, if you will. I think there is a real incentive. I know I sit on the Education Committee. I've met with many of the members of the Board of Education. I've met with Secretary Reardon, with Superintendent of Public Instruction Jack O'Connell, and I think all of us are interested in making sure that the local school boards, the local administrators have the most power available. That being said, given the structure of financing, there's a natural gravitation that moves toward the capital because we do so much of the backfill in the funding. But it's a system that needs to be reformed. Frankly, we need to have one or two clear voices as opposed to this cacophony of competing interests. The question is, it's a bit of a power struggle, quite frankly.
What recent legislation is out there that is having an impact on public education right now?
Well, public education is pretty well locked in by Prop 98 funding, and so that aspect of it is kind of consistent from year to year. Although, as you're well aware, we used about $2 billion of public money. We suspended Prop 98 last year. In order to come close to a balanced budget. Not that the budget is truly balanced. It's a little bit of Gray Davis smoke and mirrors. It's a Gray Davis budget with Klieg lights, I like to say. I sit on Education Committee. We get more bills than any other single committee of the 28 that exist, and so we kind of wade through those bills I think I would say the major focus last session was on higher ed, on community colleges, on the CSU system and the UC system, which were in line to take major cuts. The democratically controlled Assembly and Senate were able to pull those back to remove the caps on the number of students that could go to the CSU and the UC system, and were able to moderate the tuition increases in the community college, which for many kids, particularly in the peninsula area, is that first step of toward higher education. So while there were literally hundreds and hundreds of bills, many of which I carried myself, the focus, I would say, the last couple of years has been on the higher ed component.
Given California's current political, economic, and social challenges, what do you think is the outlook for public education in California over the next decade?
I'm cautiously optimistic about the longer-term prospects. One of the reasons that I am is that the legislature, both on the Senate side, and Don Parada is a former teacher, and he's now the president pro tem of the Senate. And on the Assembly side, we now have a number of people who are serving who have been in the classroom. Just as a sidelight, I originally thought about running for this seat in the Assembly in 1996, at which time there were no classroom educators in either the Senate or the Assembly. And so
this was before you had thoughts on retiring.
That's absolutely right. And that was one of the reasons that I didn't. Well, it was not the major reason I didn't run, but it was certainly one of the reasons. And I was encouraged to do that by the teachers union because they said we don't have any teachers up there. We need some. Well, now we've moved beyond that. We have a number of classroom teachers, former school board members, people who've taught at the college level. And so there's, I think, a greater sensitivity toward education. I mean, everybody's been to school, so everybody's an expert on education. Right. But the reality is that those who have spent large portions of their life doing it are much more committed to it. And so I think once we are able to dig ourselves out of this financial morass we're in, there'll be more than simply lip service to education. I have great hopes for the future of public education in California. And
part of that reason is because there's more people in Sacramento that are in tune with what's really going on in public education.
Absolutely. And not only do they come out of a background of education, but like I do, when we're in the interim session, they spend a lot of time in the schools. They try to get a handle on what's taking place, where the needs are. I make it a point to visit all the schools in my district, and there are a lot of them, 21 high schools, innumerable middle schools, and try to talk to the administrators, the teachers, the kids, get a sense of what's going on in the schools. And I'm not unique in doing that. I know all of the members of the education committee do that. So it's the mix is better for having more sensitivity to the needs of public education.
Do you think it's fair for the state and federal government and the public, for that matter, to have such high expectations of public education without providing adequate financial support?
Yeah.
That's a short answer?
Yeah. I think the public should have high expectations. I think we all need challenges. You can always use more money. And don't get me wrong. In fact, we are looking at this year's legislative package to see if we can maneuver some money around to increase some of the funding, particularly for the revenue limit districts, the non-wealthy basic aid districts, to see if we can get more money into the system. But I think we should have high expectations, but they shouldn't be unrealistic. And I think there are some aspects of No Child Left Behind that set goals that can only be achieved at the expense of what I think education is all about, and that is teaching students how to think, teaching them to be civil, teaching them to be able to live in an ever-changing world. And the more you focus on, I want to go beyond the bubble, beyond simply filling in bubbles on tests. And I don't think you judge the quality of a school by what their API ranking may be. I think that you have to get into the school and see whether there's learning taking place, And so I'm ambivalent about the fact that we have high expectations. I believe you should do some testing, but I think the overemphasis on high-stakes tests does a disservice to our students.
We've about run out of time, and there's so much more to talk about. Would you be willing to come back on our next show and spend a little bit more time with us?
Well, if you give me the same type of questions, I'd be happy to.
Okay. High school rivalry football games are big on the peninsula, and none is bigger than the El Camino and South San Francisco Bell game. We'll get a preview after this break.
In January, it's so nice. While swimming on sliding ice.
Prudential California Realty is pleased to support the South San Francisco Unified School District. With several offices located throughout the South Bay, we help home buyers realize their dreams of ownership and sellers maximize their home investment. Prudential California Realty is a longtime partner with education, having created the Education Foundation in 1992, which provides grants to teachers throughout Northern California. Prudential California Realty, your partner in real estate.
You've always been like a son to me, Mikey. And that's why I find it unfortunate that we're in this little situation here. No, don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna pay for this. Peninsula TV, how will it affect you?
San Mateo and Burlingame high schools have played the Little Big Game for years. In the North County, South San Francisco and El Camino high schools have been playing for local bragging rights in a game that's been called the Bell Game since 1962. South San Francisco High School won the first 11 games played. In fact, El Camino didn't score its first touchdown until Kenny Acosta scored in that 11th game of the series. El Camino won its first game the next year. Overall, the South San Francisco Warriors lead the series 32 wins to the Colts 9 with one tie. But the game has become much more competitive the last several years. Recently, I met with varsity coaches Eric Jacobson of the El Camino Colts and Frank Morrow of the South San Francisco Warriors at the site of the annual Bell Game, Clifford Field at South San Francisco High School. Originally, we were going to do this segment live in the studio with the coaches, but due to a studio conflict, the taping date was moved and both coaches have a football game this evening. So I asked the film crew of students at South San Francisco High School to do some location filming of this segment for us. Let's take a look at my interview with the coaches. Hi, I'm here at Clifford Field, home of the South San Francisco Warriors, and the site of the 43rd rivalry football game between El Camino High School and South San Francisco High School. As I mentioned, this will be the 43rd game played between these two schools, a rivalry that goes back to the early 60s. I have with me the coaches, the varsity coaches of the two high schools, Eric Jacobson from El Camino High School and Frank Morrow from South San Francisco High School, and we're going to talk about the Bell Game and the significance of that game. And it's a compelling story because both of these gentlemen, in addition to being coaches of their respective schools, are alums from their schools and played in the Bell Game. Eric, thanks for joining me, and Frank, both of you. Eric, what years did you play in the Bell Game?
1986 and 1987.
What was the outcome?
We won my junior year, and unfortunately we lost my senior year.
And Frank, what year did you play?
I played in the 79 game and the 80 game.
And I think, Eric, you said that was when you were about 10 years old?
I was 10 years old.
Watching Frank run around on the football field?
I'm the old man of the group.
Wait a minute, you're not quite that old. What did the Bell Game mean to you as a player, Eric?
As a player, it was, you go to school with people, at Westboro. I went to Westboro, and you go there for 2 years, now it's 3 years, and you split up. One goes to South City, one goes to El Camino, and nothing better than beating your best friend. And it was just a tremendous rivalry, and it was the game that you want to win more than anything else.
Frank, how about you?
Same thing. I went to Parkway, and half of us went here, the other half went to El Camino, and I also played Little League baseball and football with all these guys, and you see them now, 25 years later, and it's just it's a conversation.
Frank, what's your favorite bell game memory?
It has to be my senior year. It was a 0-0 game going in with 2 minutes left, and we have a tight end reverse pass, and I'm sitting under waiting for this ball to come down about 40 yards from Dave Ina, catch it, go in, and we win the game 8-0.
Eric, how about you? What's your best memory?
Mine was my junior year, obviously, because we won that game. But Coach Beckenauer sent Sean Scott out to punt, and thank God that he didn't punt it. He ran for a first down. We ended up winning the game with the last last-minute drive. So thank you, Sean Scott, if you're watching this.
Oh, that killed us. I remember that game.
This runs deep.
I was on the sideline, too.
Both of you guys came back to your respective schools to teach and to coach football and worked your way up from assistant coaches and so forth. Eric, how long have you been varsity coach at El Camino?
This will be my fourth season.
And Frank, how long for you?
This is my third season as a head coach.
Looking back, you have memories as players. You've coached some of the bell games already. How does it change, or does it change for either one of you in terms of how you feel about the game, or the preparation for the game, or the overall meaning of the game?
As a player, it's kind of a one-shot deal, especially your senior year. You do not want to lose the game your senior year. As a coach, I tell the players, hey, listen, hopefully I'm going to be coaching 30 years from now, and I'll be coaching your kids. This is your bell game. Go out there and win it for yourselves. And so it's a little bit different that way, but looking back on it, was just, it's your entire childhood all wrapped up into kind of the end of your childhood. Their senior year is the bell game. It's kind of it.
Frank, how about for you as a coach?
I thought there was a little bit more comfort as a player. You were one of 11 people on the field at the time, one of 50 guys on the sideline, whereas as a coach, you just feel that everybody's looking at you. Everybody's, determining the outcome based on yours, which you really don't have a whole lot of control. You have more control as a player, but it just feels that you have, that you have more responsibilities as a coach. So, it's similar, but, there's a little bit more comfort in being able to play and control the outcome as opposed to stand on the sideline.
This game and other rivalry games in communities, when you have that kind of a rivalry, usually goes beyond just the students and or the football players that are playing the game. And what does this game mean to the student body? What's it mean to alumni? What's it mean to the community?
I think, like Frank just said, he went to Parkway, I went to Westboro, and you kind of grow up together, and then, 4 years from then, you're playing against, your best friend who used to be your best friend, and probably maybe still is your best friend, except for that Saturday that you're playing. And, I think these rivalry games are tremendous. I think they're great. I think that, what we do need to remember is, we're not enemies. I mean, we're just living in the same neighborhood, and there's nothing better than beating your best friend and living in that neighborhood saying, yeah, we won. And I think that we can't get away, though, from sportsmanship and all the good things that sports teaches us. But I think the rivalry games are tremendous.
So it's you kind of play for bragging rights.
Exactly.
Frank,
Exactly.
What about to the alumni? What's it mean to alumni?
It's a big thing to the alumni. They'll be asking 3 weeks ago, we're getting ready for Jeff, and are you guys ready for El Camino? We really haven't even looked at the El Camino stuff yet. We're getting ready for Jeff. We play things. We play things week to week. We're ready. We're getting ready for a game. But the alumni, the students, the teachers, everybody. That's the big talk. And people don't realize that football's a long season, and it's big to everybody. But to us as coaches, we've got to keep it in perspective and get these guys to start thinking about other games that we play.
And along with that too, I don't know if Frankie gets it, but nobody ever asks us, what was your record or how'd you do it? You got the bell? And that's all they ask when it's like it's just one game, and people are asking you about that in August, and it's like we've got 9 games to play before that.
Well, it leads me to ask this question. Games like the Little Big game, San Mateo Berlin game that has a much longer history than South City El Camino, and before South City El Camino was South San Francisco and Jefferson way back in the old PAL. Are rivalry games like this good or bad, or what do you think, Frank?
Well, I think it's very, very good. And, you can learn the people in the stands, learn the skills of, social skills. And, I talked to you about this. At Altaloma, we talked about this at a middle school. People need to learn how to be audience members and how to, be active and, how they act at a game is, going to be very important to learning what they do in the future. How they, it's different than at a play, or it's different than in a classroom. You need to be able to learn these skills, and a rivalry game's great. It's just an intensified situation. You enjoy it, you have fun, and then you move on. You learn how to do that.
You touched on it earlier, Eric, but anything else that you...
it teaches you a lot about life, I mean, you can't be an everyday champion. You can't win every day. Some days you wake up and things aren't going so great, and, you got to move ahead and act with class and sportsmanship all the way through, and that's what Frankie and I are trying to do.
We're running out of time here. The game is coming up in about 2 weeks as we tape this, November 13th, Saturday, here at Clifford Field. Frost-off game, the Little Bell game, I guess it's now called, at 11 o'clock, and then the varsity at 2 p.m. Very quickly, Frank, any prediction?
I predict it's going to be a good game. It's going to be fun.
Non-committal. I like that. Eric?
It is always a good game when South City plays El Camino, and I predict another good game, and I picked a lot of people in the stands and a lot of people happy.
Eric, thanks. Frank, good luck to both of
Thank you.
And
Good
that's
luck,
our
Frank.
segment on the Bell game. I hope you enjoyed our first field segment that we shot with our crew from South San Francisco High School, and I want to thank them for the fine work that they do, and we're going to see more work from them on future shows. When we come back, we'll meet a very active high school senior who somehow does it all and fits it in a very busy schedule. Stay with us.
January, it's so nice. Walking on sliding ice.
If you live on the peninsula, there's only one place to get the latest news on business, sports, politics, education, and your community. Peninsula TV, Channel 26, the Peninsula and South Bay's Emmy Award-winning programming resource. For more information or for a programming schedule, go to PenTV.tv or call us at 650-637-1936. Peninsula TV, your community programming channel.
Real estate with Bobby Decker is for anyone who owns a home or aspires to do so. Everything that is important to or an interesting facet of home ownership will be covered by our program. Please join us. You won't want to miss Real Estate with me, your host, Bobby Decker.
Emmy Award-winning Peninsula TV provides a large multifunctional TV studio and video production facility, state-of-the-art equipment, and affordable prices. Let our professional staff and crew produce your company or organization's next video, or create your own TV series and air it on one of the Bay Area's largest community cable channels. Contact Peninsula TV at pentv.tv or call 650-637-1936.
In the student spotlight this week is Arbel Bedak, a senior at El Camino High School. Arbel is listed in the who's who among American high school students, and it's no wonder. He must take up a full page. Let me share a few of his activities and honors before we get into talking to Arbel. Arbel's a saxophone player in the symphonic and jazz bands. He's a dance student. He's been in 4 school musicals. In fact, he's got the lead in Fiddler on the Roof, which plays in early December at El Camino High School. He's a member of several campus clubs, including Link Crew, which works with orienting new students to El Camino High School. He's the Performing Arts Student of the Year. He's the Concert Band Award winner. Outside of school, active in his temple as a teacher's aide and a counselor, Arbel's been a summer intern at a local granite rock company, sponsored by the Luster Fund last summer. And when he has time, he's a university prep student with a 3.4 grade point average. Arbel is joined by Alice Prince, his dance teacher, and welcome to both of you. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Arbel, I have to ask you, how do you have so much time for so many activities? Why so many activities? And have you always been this involved?
Well, why so many activities? It's a lot of fun, keeps you busy. I guess I wasn't this involved in like middle school, but I don't know, high school really changed, is very different than middle school. So once I went into high school, a lot of things changed. And I just started joining things. I really started getting into the arts, performing arts. So I'm in dance, band, theater. It all just started going from there. Just started joining things, clubs.
How do you fit so many activities in with a very demanding academic schedule? You're a university prep student carrying a high grade point average. How do you fit all those activities in? How do you balance that?
Sometimes it's hard, with the help of some really nice teachers that let you turn in some work a little late sometimes. Yeah, I just finish rehearsals at like 5:36, go home, sit down, start doing homework. Yeah, spend weekends doing homework when you're not doing things. Just try and fit it all in there.
Is there anything you've left out? Is there anything that you haven't done that you wished you were doing?
Actually, right now I can't say.
I don't think there is. What are some of all the activities? And I haven't, I didn't mention all of them. What are some of the favorite things that you do? What do you enjoy the most that you're doing?
Performing arts. Performing arts is just, it's just so much fun to do. I love going to dance class, 5th period, then 6th period I go when I'm in jazz band. And then after school now I have the musical. It's just like hours of performing arts all together, and it's just really fun.
Ms. Prince, Arbel's a dance student with you. What makes Arbel stand out as a student?
What makes Arbel special is that in the face of a problem or a challenge, instead of thinking of things that he might not be able to do or roadblocks or reasons he can't do it, his mind just immediately goes out and starts solving the problem. Almost before you finish telling him what it is, he starts thinking of pathways, solutions, possibilities.
Maybe that's how he could fit everything in. He's figured out how to do all that, huh? Lesser students, I don't think, could. Arbel, your counselor, April McCoy, nominated you for the Daughters of the American Revolution Good Citizens Award, and you won that award. Now you're up for some possible scholarship money as you go on to other areas. And you had to talk about what it means to you to be a good citizen. And you said some pretty interesting things. What does it mean to you to be a good citizen?
To be a good citizen, I guess for different people it can mean different things, but I think you really have to be selfless. You can't think about yourself. You have to really be thinking about others most of the time. You go out, you do lots of community service, you enjoy helping people. You just like to have fun helping others rather than always be doing things for yourself.
You're a very selfless individual, Arbel. Very briefly, before we run out of time, what about your future plans, college and beyond?
Well, right now I'm in the midst of applying to college. I'm applying to 4 UCs and a few CSUs and 1 out-of-state, 1 private college. And I'm planning on majoring in biochemistry and possibly going pre-med. I'd really like to do that. And I've just always been interested in science, which is completely different than my whole performing arts thing going on in high school. But deep down, yeah, my real passion is science, and again, it goes back to helping people.
There's no doubt in my mind, Arbel, you're going to be very successful, and you're probably going to stay just as active as you are now. Good luck to you in whatever it is that you tackle.
Thank you very much.
That's about all for tonight. Remember, in South San Francisco, we know our children are our future. See you next time.